Hey guys, welcome back. So this is going to be part 2 of the turn signal modification, and in this video I'm going to focus on how to get the wig wag pattern. But before we get started, I'd like to thank these 5 gentlemen for helping me figure this out. And their names are Frank White, Aaron C., Austin Harlan, W.J. Handydad, and I can't forget Anthony Elliott. Anthony made a generous donation of some wiring harnesses that I was able to take apart and make some plug-and-play wiring harnesses for the matching pattern. And I'll be giving those away in part 3 for the matching pattern video. So I'll put the links to their channels down below. And if you missed part 1 and you have a question, it might be answered in that video, so I'll put a link to that down below as well. So before you take on the wig wag pattern, you should understand that it only works when your parking lights are on or when your headlights are on. When your lights are off, the side marker will flash in sync with all the other turn signals. So today I'd like to give you 2 options on how to wire this to get this effect, and those 2 options are going to dictate on which type of car you have. If you have a civilian model Crown Vic or if you have a police model Crown Vic. And what that means is your connector here that goes to your side marker, it's either going to have 2 wires or it's going to have 4 wires. And let me give you a shot of that. So this right here is the connector that goes to the side marker. And as you can see on mine, I've got 4 wires. I've got 2 on this side and I've got 2 on this side. So from my understanding, the civilian models have a 4 wires running into this connector, and the police models that I've been able to verify with W.J. Handydad on his 2008 and 2010 is there was only 2 wires in this connector. So depending if you've got a civilian or a police model, it's going to dictate which method you use. So the first wiring option I'll show you is for the police models, and what you got to do is the conventional method of the way people were doing this is you have to cut the ground wire out of off the side marker bulb, and then you've got to run an additional wire from the negative side of the bulb to the turn signal wire over here in the headlight. Now I really don't like cutting factory wires on my cars, so I started by connecting my positive wire to the turn signal bulb here in the headlight assembly. So what I did is I removed this piece of tape here on the wire loom, and I unraveled this electrical tape, and it's really nice because there's no glue or adhesive on it, and so I was able to reuse it, and that's what I did. So once you get this tape off, pull the wire loom off, and it's going to expose the wires in here. And what you're after is you're going to connect a new wire to the high brightness or the positive wire for the turn signal and run it over to the side marker bulb. So to speed things up, just pretend that I've already done that. And one way you can do that is with a T-tap connector, and these are pretty convenient. You'll just clamp this on the wire you're after, and then you'll run your additional wire in here like this, and you'll be left, and then once you do that, tuck all this back into the wire loom, and then wrap the tape up and get it back in there. And what you'll be left with is something that looks like this. You'll have your wire, your new wire coming out of here. So don't forget to get some wire loom and stick this wire in the wire loom, because you're going to have to run it through the header panel and it's exposed. So once you get this wire over here to this bulb, you've got to make a decision, or I had to make a decision, and I really did not want to cut my ground wire. So what I did is I depinned the ground wire out of here, and I'll show you how to do that now. So you're gonna see this little red connector here, and just stick your pick in here, and you're gonna pop it out and set that aside. And down in here you're gonna see some little tangs, and you'll need to just gently pry that back, and then you can pull the wire out of the back side here. So if I was going to do this, what I would do is I would do the same thing. I would pull the tape off this wire loom and get this whole wire exposed, and what I would do is I would bend it back here, and then now I would connect my new wire coming from the turn signal bulb to this wire. And for temporary means, while I'm figuring out if I like this and how I'm going to keep it, I would just wrap the wire around this connector, and I would not cut this connector off, because if you cut this connector off, you're not going to be able to return it back to its factory stock condition. So connect that wire there like that, and then get some electrical tape and wrap it around here, and then tuck everything back into the wire loom. So what you'll have is you'll have something that looks similar to what you did the first time, and you'll have your new wire coming out of here, and just make sure your wire loom is around this to protect that new wire. So once you do that, that will give you the connection, and that will give you the Wig Wag pattern. Now what I discovered on my car, because my car has the 4 wires coming out of the connector, that means I did not need to tap into this existing turn signal bulb, and that's because one of the 4 wires in my car already has a turn signal wire in it. And the reason why that is because when they were building my car and it was going down the assembly line, they didn't know if it was going to be a civilian Crown Vic or a Grand Marquis. And Grand Marquis have a turn signal bulb in the side marker instead of in the headlamp housing. So once I discovered that, I discovered that I could just change the location of the pins. So this right here is a duplicate of the wiring harness for the factory side marker bulb, and I'd like you to take notice of the configuration of the wires here. And you can see there's only 2 wires, and they're in the top right quadrant of the connector and the bottom right quadrant of the connector. And according to the pins that are in my car, I need to relocate one of these pins, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this one here on the bottom is the factory, and you can see the 2 wires are both on the right side. Now this one on the top, you can see I've pulled the wire out of the top right, and I've installed it in the bottom left corner, and that's where the turn signal wire is. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. So same thing again, you're going to take your pick tool and you're going to pop this this little plug out, and that's going to give you access to these little tangs, and you've got to pull both these wires out. So once you get both wires out, you're going to need to pull this little silicone plug out here. And I've already poked a hole in here, and it's going to look something like this. So you need to get it into the bottom left corner, and what I did is I just stick my pick in here and made a hole. It's going to look something like that. And once you make your hole, make sure you stick this in the correct position. And now you're ready to put these back in there. And once you hear that click, you know it's in position. And then of course put your little that little thing back in there. Now what you're left with is you're left with an open hole, and that's going to let water get in there. So for temporary purposes, what I would do is I would stick some dielectric grease in there, and I would take a spare piece of wire and just stick it in there like this. And then I'd even run it down in here like that, and that will help keep this connection watertight. It won't let any water get in there, and that'll look something like that. So once you get that done, I'll show you how that works. So here's the one I made earlier. And then all you got to do is you just connect it in there. Now let me show you. So I just realized I removed the passenger headlight assembly, so maybe you can see it with the or no, I removed the driver's side, so maybe you can see it with the passenger side. And this is the alternating pattern. Okay, so now that I've showed you how to do that, I should probably show you how to find out which is the correct wire that you need to tap into if you've got a police car model. So I really don't want to get into the color of the wires, because what I discovered is that before I started doing this, I looked up the wiring diagram, and what I found is the wiring diagram is not 100% accurate. And I also discovered that the color of the wires may differ from the driver's side to the passenger side. So by telling you the color of the wire, it may be different on your year of car, and different if you have a police model or a civilian model, or if you're working on the driver's side or the passenger side. So what I would really suggest is you pick up a test light. This is a pretty basic one. You can get these for $3.19 at Harbor Freight, and I'm going to show you how to find which is the wire that you're after to tap into. So let's go over to the car and I'll show you how to do that. So you'll need to turn on your parking lamps and then turn on your emergency flashers. Now this here is the test light. It just has one connection, this little clamp here, and you're going to connect that to the negative side of the battery. And I'm going to test this out on the passenger side turn signal. Now I've already taken the connector off here, and these are your 3 wires, and inside the connector there's going to be 3 slots, or 3 pin slots. So just to make sure this thing works, stick it on the battery, and you can see when it lights up, that's your connection. Now I'm going to stick this in the slot on the end here, and we can see nothing happens. So when that happens, that means that's the ground or the negative. Now I'm going to stick it in the middle slot, and you can see the bulb illuminates steadily. So that means that is the low brightness or the parking lamp circuit. Now I'm going to stick this on the last one, and now we can see the bulb in the test light is flashing with the turn signals. So what that lets us know is that's the wire that we're after to tap into. Okay, so that's pretty much it on how to do the Wig Wag pattern. I'm sure I left out a few things. Maybe you can ask the questions down below in the comment section, and I'll answer them. So stick around for part 3. That's when I'll show you how to do the how to get the matching pattern. And that one's a little bit more involved because you've got to enlarge the hole in your side marker to get the larger 3157 bulb. Okay, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.